Hi, I'm Matt from Hobokenhorology, and today I'm going to be going over the things to look for when buying a GMT Master or GMT Master 2. And we're going to be sticking with the vintage reference. This is a guide only for vintage Rolexes. Now, the price, I'm actually making this video because I'm actually selling this watch. I bought it at the height of the market, during COVID. These watches shot up in value to an insane amount. So I actually had bought one, and right now I'm selling it at kind of the fair market value. I'm selling it at what it's valued at today. So if you're interested in this watch in particular, see the link to my email below. I haven't been on this channel in years, and I will promise that I will check that channel. Of course, I'll check the email because I want to sell this watch. Another thing, I will most likely remove this video after I sell this watch. That's the primary reason. Maybe I'll make another video or something like that. But the number one thing I think to look for when buying a pre-owned Rolex is actually those lugs. Now, this watch, in my opinion, has been polished at least once. And there are things you can look for to tell. I mean, I could be mistaken. I've had an unpolished pre-ceramic Submariner that was completely unpolished, and it was just absolutely fantastic. But you can look at those lugs, and on mine, you can see the spring bars do not necessarily reach out. And these spring bars aren't your standard spring bars. They are for drilled lugs. So they have kind of a longer, pointier part to them. So if you use standard spring bars on here, they wouldn't poke out at all. But a lot of the Rolexes that have the original spring bars, like they should, and they have been polished and polished and polished, you'll see spring bars start to shoot out. Or you'll see this hole will be filled. So if the hole, it has to really have some depth to it. And you shouldn't be able to see the spring bar shouldn't completely fill the hole. If it does, it means that this has just been polished away. Because this is the polished part, right? This is the rest is brushed. So it means that somebody just took this on a lapping machine, bezel removed, and they just polished it and polished it and polished it until you could see those spring bars. So mine, the lugs have really held up nicely. I do believe this has probably been polished just because it's in such great shape for its age. But another thing to look for on the lugs, this is number 2, I think, is that the bezels have this kind of original chamfering down, which is this polished part. Now mine is starting to vanish, which is pretty common. But most of the GMTs I've seen, or a lot of them, they'll have this completely removed or it's been repolished, and this part has just been overdone, and it's this thick polished line. Now look, if it's been repolished, it's fine if the chamfering is completely removed, because it just means that the sides have been polished and the top has been brushed. It's okay. Mine is there, but it's really hard to see. I mean, it's just barely there, and I'm pretty sure the factory finish had that. Let's see. This is going to be very controversial, and Rolex collectors will very much disagree with me. But I like to see the green sticker on the back. Now, this has been worn so much that sticker is embedded there, maybe forever. And I never remove these stickers, because when I buy a watch, especially a vintage Rolex, that means that behind that sticker, it's never been polished behind there. This clasp has never scratched that case back. No one has ever scratched the back of that watch. It just shows that somebody bought it from the AD, they threw it on with that sticker on the back, and they never took it off. I mean, man, how many watches did we buy new from an AD or from a gray market dealer or whatever and tear those stickers off immediately? It's amazing that these old Rolexes, people would go into an AD, they paid whatever the original price was, probably $1,500, and they threw the watch on with that sticker on, and they've never taken it off. Also, it's pretty industrial that it's held up like that. Now, here's another red flag. It's okay if the sticker is not there. I mean, that's very normal. Huge red flag if it's a brand new sticker, right? If it looks like it's never been worn, that's not right. This watch is like 30 years old. It should have a worn sticker. It should look like this. It should look completely, and you can see it looks like somebody, it's either mine has held up in great shape and it just hasn't really scratched on the bottom, or someone has polished it, but they have gone out of their way to leave that sticker there. So, like I said, this might be an unpolished example, but I honestly cannot weigh in on that, especially if I'm selling it. I wouldn't lie to somebody or say that I think it's unpolished when I'm not 100% sure. The next thing is really a movement picture would really be great. I haven't taken the case back off of this one, but I bought it from a jewelry store in the area that has been around for about 70 years, and they have been selling Rolexes. They have a huge presence online and from Chrono24. So buy the seller, right? That's my fourth tip or fifth tip if you include the sticker. But my thing would be buy the seller. And also don't sleep on these bracelets, right? Because this bracelet by itself is actually more valuable than the nicer, what I would consider the nicer bracelets with the clasp that has the secure flip over. I've never had a problem with this bracelet. It actually fits me really well. And I have a 7-inch wrist, and this easily fits me with plenty of extra micro adjustments. But this bracelet is actually quite valuable on its own compared to kind of that, what I would call the Explorer 2 bracelet, because there's a bracelet that I always see on the Explorer 2s that I've seen on a lot of GMTs. So, okay, the number one is buy the seller, right? Always buy the seller. I like Chrono24 a lot because they really make it super easy to have money in escrow and everything. You know, I'm some guy on YouTube. How are you going to trust me? That's up to you. I've been collecting and buying and selling watches for, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years. So I have ways that I can identify myself to a potential buyer. I can show my online presence where I could even sell it to a buyer through escrow on Chrono24, where I have an account, where I've bought and sold a bunch of watches, high-end Omegas and Rolexes and everything. So I'm kind of making an argument not to buy the watch from me because I don't have as much of a. I mean, I have an online presence, right? So you can somewhat. You should be able to trust that. You should be able to check my history and see that I've made purchases before, and mostly that I've sold before. So you can trust me online, but just be very careful. And look, if you're worried, I connected with someone on LinkedIn. Connect with them on LinkedIn. That way you could see where they work. It just helps. You just need to make sure you're talking to the person who you think you're talking to, and make sure that you have a way to verify that that's actually them on LinkedIn. Connect on Facebook. You know, just these ways that you know who the person is. This is a lot of money. You know, this is getting up there in a very niche kind of collector market of watches. And this is a very hot watch. I'm not going to lie to you. This would be the only watch or one of the few that I would say has investment potential, because these could go down in price a little bit, but they're really going to shoot up in price, because the thing is that Rolex is going to start selling pre-owned Rolexes themselves. So what Rolex will do is they will take this watch, they'll take the box, and they will service it through their service center, which costs them nothing because they bought this at market value. They'll service it, and not because it's serviced, but mostly because it has their new Rolex paperwork with it. They will then sell it for double whatever they bought it for. And people will proudly and happily spend that money. They will go into a Rolex and they will spend $30,000 for a vintage GMT, saying like, oh, it's this vintage watch and it has Rolex paperwork and all of that. So this does have the potential. You can hear, hopefully my phone's not too distracting. It's like really blowing up right now. This does have some potential to increase in value. I have to let go of it because I am just kind of been on a little bit of a buying spree lately. I'm wearing a Cartier tank, especially lately. I've just been really into Cartier, so yeah, I have to let this one go. Faded bezel, beautiful original dial to my knowledge, and just do your research. Make sure you know what you're buying. Hopefully that helps. Again, if you want to purchase this watch, it comes with box. It does not come with papers, box only. This is a 16700, so 5-digit GMT master, and this is from around 1993. I have the series written down. I think it's an S or an X series, which you can tell once you remove the bracelet, which of course I've done very, very carefully with tape and the whole 9 yards to make sure I'm not really scratching anything. But yeah, let me know. Thank you.